Guess who's back? I am the Clapper Loader, and without me there are no films or movies. All right, so Malignant. Once again, we're going to talk about that movie that everybody is talking about, whether they liked it or not. It's on everybody's to talk about list. And for me, thanks to YouTube, I've been diving down the rabbit hole of watching different reviews, different analysis, videos, opinions. There is a divide in the film goers community about the film. You're either on team I love it or team I can't stand it. And we all know where I am. Definitely on team I loved it. And I took some time this week to go and watch it in the theater. There was only 7 people in the theater. I was number 7, and I watched it on the big screen. And what a difference it made to just my entire understanding of the film itself. Now, you know there's going to be spoilers. I'm not going to hold back because I'm going to try to make this the last video that or podcast, I'm sorry, which will be a video. But this is going to probably be my last one talking about Malignant because I want to wrap it up and just savor the flavor of the film. But one thing that's been coming up a lot in a lot of different videos, people are discovering something that's been out there since forever, which is the term giallo. And it's Giallo. It is an Italian term having to do with mystery films, police type drama films. I do believe that it might be a genre specific to Italian films. I've seen people describe Malignant as kind of a mix of giallo and Asian horror. I can definitely see that. I can definitely see American thumbprints all over that, as I've mentioned before. And watching it again, I can see even more American directors' work shine through, influences shine through in the film. What I want to talk about specifically is the divisive nature of the film and why I think that we need to open our minds a little bit more to cinema as an entity versus just American cinema or European cinema or Asian cinema. But, movies are its own thing, okay? And if you are not embracing horror from other cultures, then you may not like this because it would be a complete surprise to you. How could this be greenlit? How could this be made? What's going on? There's some tonal shifts in the film. Instead of coming from a place where you've had experiences with other genres, other cultures, films, and you were able to piece together that although this probably was made in America, it definitely has influences from different cultures. And that should be embraced. That should be embraced. I think if you are a true cinema aficionado fan, you would embrace that. Now, is it a shock to get Malignant as the very first introduction to a giallo film? I would say so. I would say that it probably shocked the socks off people so much that they said they don't like it. They're not down for it. It's to this, it's to that. Completely understood. Now, find a giallo film and watch it. Find another one and watch that. And then you can make your comparisons there. I definitely see the Asian influence, as one YouTuber mentioned, with the hair, the long dark hair, just that specifically. I can even say that I noticed the kind of, did we ever see any other houses in the neighborhood in comparison to the main character's house? I don't recall seeing any neighbors' houses. And if there was a neighbor's house, did it look as gothy as our character's house? I don't recall it looking so. I don't recall seeing other neighbors' houses. I'll have to look at it again. But her house, although painted white, the architecture of the house was very Addams Family Munster-ish. I'm obviously by design, but it definitely, if you look at it, gives away some unease to the type of house that it is. It seems very uncomfortable. The creaking wood, the pointed roof. It just seems so uncomfortable. It doesn't seem like a cozy home. There's that. I'm finally kind of gathering my thoughts about Malignant, and the complete shift when it comes is, for me, such a relief in a sense, because again, I'm going off of my diet of American films, mostly American films, some UK films, some definitely old films. I'm thinking older films like, when I think of something that has some oddities to it, I think of like The Hunger with David Bowie from 83, I believe. And, those kind of weird set movies. And I thought it was going to be something like that or come from that place. And it just completely surprised me. And that was the most exciting part about the movie. Again, I can empathize with you if you're one of those people that do not like this movie and it's so not your cup of tea and you can't recommend it. But again, I would implore you to explore other films of the giallo genre, if we can say it's a genre, or under the giallo umbrella, and see if those types of films appeal to you. One film that I loved growing up was an Italian ripoff, if you will, of The Exorcist, in a sense. But it was such a wild movie. The movie is called The Visitor. It's with John Huston. It was made in, I think it's 1978, but released somewhere in 79 or 80. And it's got Shelley Winters and John Huston, as I mentioned. And he is the father of Danny Huston. If you're familiar with Danny Huston's work, he was in Wolverine Origins. But anyhow, the movie, talk about a bat crap crazy film. The movie is so weird. I'm not going to spoil it here, so take a look at The Visitor. But when I started to hear people mention giallo, I started to think about The Visitor and how this movie mirrors Malignant, not in its tone, but just the fact that they're both so off-putting and so like far-fetched of a plot that it will never leave your mind. And I remember my mom going out. I had to stay home. I wanted to go to the movies with her. And she's like, I'm going to see, something rated R. I can't go. And I remember being The Visitor. I remember seeing like the little 15-second trailers for it back on the TV, and being freaked out. And it was, I'm telling you, please look up The Visitor there's a really long trailer for it on YouTube just to give you the gist of the story. But again, watching the entire movie is, once you see the trailer and then you watch the movie, again, it mirrors Malignant in that you watch the trailer and then you watch the movie, and they're two completely different beasts. It's like you can't, it's almost unmarketable, if you will. But again, with The Visitor, this is why it was made. It was because there was, The Exorcist and The Omen. Those films were very popular and made lots of money back in the 70s. And so this kind of sprung up from that. But if you go and look at a lot of Italian cinema, and I'm talking way back, I'm talking like, Clint Eastwood. I know Clint Eastwood has a movie coming out this week called Cry Macho. And if you look at some of his earlier work, this with, quote unquote spaghetti westerns, you can even see a resemblance in some of the scoring of Malignant, how Malignant was scored. And then you have, some of the scoring in the spaghetti westerns really kind of bombastic and memorable and unique, much like Malignant. So I'm trying to, I guess, broaden my thoughts about Malignant and kind of encompassing the entire Italian cinema and Italian cinema influence and the Asian cinema influence on it, versus just looking at it from just kind of an American film point of view. So I hope that gave you some homework, some food for thought about Malignant. If you enjoyed Malignant as I did, I'm over the moon about it. There was 2 other movies this year that really made an impact in my mind. First one was, of course, Nobody, because I saw the trailer for that once and I absolutely knew it was going to be amazing, and I went and I saw it in the theater 7 times. I wish I could have seen it more, but that really just blew my mind. I was not an Odenkirk fan. I was just a fan of the genre because of the genre, but the John Wick films. I was a fan of the writer and of that style of film that's now coming, and to popularity with our cinemas. And there's Nobody, and there was something else I can't remember. I know I'm going to remember later, but I've been working all day, so kind of leaves my mind. But definitely Malignant is up there. I would definitely say Malignant is in my top 20 films of all time. I have not been able to replace my my number 1 film of all time and my number 2 film of all time ever. One of them is they're both from the 80s, but nothing's been able to touch them. But definitely, I've added Tenet into it and Inception and a few others, but definitely Malignant is going to be within my top 20. Now, whether it's going to be in my top 10, I'm not sure yet. We'll see what happens when the Matrix Resurrection happens, because the Matrix is my number 5 film of all time. But I digress. I'm going to go back to Malignant, and I just want to say that I'm on Team Malignant. I hope that you can look at The Visitor from 1979, 1980. Check out some scores from Italian films, and you can just see the influences, the thumbprints on this particular film. But I really hope that if you didn't like it, you maybe look at it through a different lens and check it out again. So, thank you for stopping by again. I really appreciate you all. If you get an opportunity, which I know you have one really quick, because boom, you can just click that like button and you can subscribe, because I'm going to talk about movies as long as I can, as long as I want on this channel. It's mine, oh mine. You know who I am. I am the Clapper Loader, and without me, there are no movies.